Thanks for tuning into our podcast, Getting Down to Business. I'm Jill Brown, Academic and Career Advisor with the Moomin College of Business.
And I'm Ashley Curtis, Assistant Program Director for the Bishop Center for Ethical Leadership.
I still have to get used to this title. Congrats to Ashley. We get a lot of questions about internships, and we thought this podcast would be a great medium to address some of those things. And so we created a special series with a day in the life, and we have a special guest today.
Yep. So today we have with us Brittany Betts, who has done several internships in accounting and is here today to share with us her experiences. So Brittany, I'll turn it over to you if you want to give us your best 30-second elevator pitch, tell our audience a little bit about you.
Definitely, yes. My name is Brittany Betts. I'm a senior accounting student at USF, and I'm an aspiring tax accountant. I expect to earn my CPA within the next 2 years, and I earned a free review system to help me accomplish this goal through my time as a Glenn campus rep. I acquired invaluable hands-on experience in the tax industry through my internships with Grant Thornton as well as OneSource, and I look forward to applying the lessons I learned from both internships into my career beyond graduation. I expect to graduate in the fall of 2023 with my Bachelor's of Science in Accounting.
Oh, you're so close.
Right? That's what I was just thinking. I was thinking you already graduated. And Brittany has graciously joined us via Microsoft Teams. So due to her work schedule, right? So we appreciate you taking time out. Before we jump into our heavy hitting questions, we have been asking our guests, would you rather? So throwing you on the spot, but would you rather give up all social media or eat the same meal for an entire year?
I think I would rather give up all social media just because I really love food. And so that would take a lot of happiness out. And plus I feel like I'm not too active on social media anyway, so it's not too much of it. I'll be like, okay, time for me to completely unplug.
Not so hard. Gotcha.
Same. Healthy cleanse.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for playing.
Awesome. So now, Brittany, we're going to get down to business. We're going to talk a little bit more about those 2 internships. So you've done 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what actually inspired you to seek out internships?
Felt like I definitely wanted to complete more than one internship in my undergraduate studies because I wanted to expose myself to as much as possible so that when I graduated, I can make the best decision I could as to what career I wanted to pursue, with what type of firm I wanted to pursue. So I really wanted to get experience with a few different firms.
Awesome. Now, I'm always a proponent of take as many internships as you can. I'm curious, for you, what were the benefits of, and you've just talked about them a little bit, but maybe if you want to dive a little bit more into the benefits that you got to see having 2 different types of internships versus if you had just done either one with OneSource or with Grant Thornton.
Yes, I felt like through the research I had conducted, both OneSource and Grant Thornton seemed to be very good options for me. I was gracious enough that they both gave me an offer, and so I thought, okay, so let me try both. One was a larger firm, one was a smaller firm, and personally, I didn't have a preference in the beginning, so I really wanted to experience, well, what are the differences? And on top of that, I really wanted to, I suppose, gain as much experience in the tax industry as I could overall. So I could have like a running head start once I graduated.
Did you say we're both tax internships, both OneSource
Yes.
and Grant? Okay. Because sometimes too, students might use the internship to explore different areas of accounting since there's no set trajectory. How'd you get into tax necessarily?
I would say that's something unique with me, that I knew I wanted to do tax because, like you said, most people will maybe do audit and then tax to kind of figure out which one they like better. I figured, I heard that with audit, there's a lot of traveling. And personally, I'm more of like a homebody, so I was like, maybe I'll lean more towards tax. And when I went through my internship with OneSource first, I realized, oh, I really like tax. I really love tax. So I liked where I was, so I kept in tax.
Perfect. Thanks. So we want to kind of help our students understand the interview process and expectations. So if you don't mind, and in a sense, we might compare and contrast. So it's great that you have two experiences. If you might talk about like what the interview process looked for one versus the other, and how long it took, those types of things.
I would say my interview process with one source, they were more an in-person firm. So, my first day, it was like a group interview with me and a few other candidates. We all went to the firm. We were in the meeting room. We had a conversation with one of their tax seniors, one of their tax managers, as well as the partner. It was pretty casual because they're a more laid back type of firm. And then
Mm.
after that, we all went to lunch with, like I said, the tax managers and actually some of the staff, so we can meet some of the people on their tax staff as well. Um, and then after the lunch, I had a more formal interview with the tax manager where I was one on one with one tax manager, and she asked me questions on my previous experience, what attracted me to an internship with their firm, and such. It was a great experience. I remember leaving thinking that was the best interview I ever had because it was very nice to be able to sit down and talk with the team, and it felt like I was almost starting to become a part of their team through the lunch, and then to sit back and have the more formal conversation with the manager afterwards. I still got to apply, the regular aspects of an interview. Just I wasn't expecting it to be so friendly and casual, so that was nice.
I was going to say,
I
and before you jump into the next one, yeah, that group environment had to set the stage and definitely alleviate some fears and anxiety, right?
Yes,
Being with
definitely.
peers and colleagues. So that's nice, and I think that's good for students to hear too. That uh, they ease you in, and then you have that opportunity for the one-on-one. So, all right,
I
thank you.
also just want to put a plug. So, Muma College of Business, we often have courses where we talk about like business, like dinner etiquette, right? So, we talk about how, you might find yourself in a situation where you're having an interview that's over a lunch or over a dinner. And so, just really important that if you don't know, just like basic meal etiquette, to take a few moments to just kind of inform yourself, because that will help boost your confidence going into those types of situations.
All right, sorry, we interrupted or I stopped you. If you would like to continue with comparing how your interview went with Grant Thornton.
Yes. And then with Grant Thornton, it was a little bit different. It was all virtual with Grant Thornton. So I had a conversation with one of their tax managers, and then I had a conversation with another one of their tax managers. They're back to back. I remember feeling kind of nervous. Of course, it was my first virtual interview, and I was really excited about it. I remember in my first interview, I still kind of got a sense of friendliness because it was like February and I still had my Christmas tree up. I didn't have time to take it down before the interview. And she noticed it, but she made me feel calm about it and we made jokes about it. So that was a great way that she broke the ice. And I spoke with Laura from Grant Doran, and she's very enthusiastic, and she kind of put very I knew I was interested in Grant Thornton, but she really put a passion into me that was like, "Hey, they really are the best. We put 100% into our employees." And I remember feeling a lot more confident that they were, yes, I really definitely want to pursue an internship with this company because she really advocated for them.
Hmm.
And she also helped set the stage for my next interview, which was with Brian at Grant Thornton, who's actually one of their lawyers there. And that was a very intriguing conversation for me because I kind of contemplated becoming a tax attorney. So it was a very intellectual conversation there as well. And it was great because during my internship, I was able to continue on those conversations that I had with them on what I wanted out of my career and things like that. And preparing for the interview, you want to kind of make sure that you exhibit that you know what you want to where you want to take your career or like a basis. And I feel like during the internship, they really helped me advance that thought more.
I have to mention that, like Ashley brought up, that our office in the Muma College of Business and the Career Services, we do mock interviews, and I know we had practiced, and you just don't know what to expect. So for students to hear this from you and know that they, like you said, sincerely want to get to know you, and they're looking to invest in your future as much as you want to invest in that firm. So appreciate you sharing.
Yep. Brittany, can you tell us a little bit about so your internship, was it full-time, part-time? Roughly how many hours a week were you working? And then I'll kind of follow the same format. So we'll start with one source and then move to Grant Thornton.
And how that worked out with your college schedule because you were full time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, college, I was part-time. I took 3 classes, so kind of like a lot of part-time. Um, I with one source, it started with part-time. So at first I was 25 hours a week because they wanted me to gain familiarity with their systems and the process so that um, all of my time there would be productive as possible. Also, that they could have the time to train me as needed. And then once I became more familiar, then I was able to work 40-hour weeks. I believe also I started in the summer, so they just didn't have like a multitude of work in the beginning, which is another reason why I was part time. Um, and then they let me continue my internship into the fall, which was the beginning of their busy season. So I began working 40 hours, and they gave me the option of working overtime if I wanted to because it was busy season, but they knew I was in school. So that had no, they didn't expect me to work overtime basically. As I could and wanted to, they allowed me to. With my school schedule, I would say that it was definitely challenging. I would say setting a routine and being on top of my calendar. Before the semester starts, I would map out all of my assignments so I know when all my due dates are, so that every week it's just a matter of opening my calendar and seeing what's due for that week. Um, and also being sure to set a routine of even after work, even if I'm tired, to still maybe if it's 1 hour or 2 hours a day just to crack at my homework, little by little definitely helps. So you're not doing it all at once, every weekend.
I like you breaking
Mhm.
that down for students
Yeah.
to consider. And I think a lot of accounting students will do that. But at the same time, it's important to hear that
Yep.
you have to do this time management. Yeah. So tell us
Mhm.
about GT.
GT, it started as a full-time, and it was like an 8-week period. So it was basically the summer, but it did not run into the fall, so I did not have the opportunity to work overtime, due to their summer schedule.
Well, and this leads into the next question, which was the training. So you started to talk a little bit about, the expectations and the work. So would you mind talking with students about like what the training looked like at each company, how long, and in a sense, what a day in the life would look like for you?
For one source, training was about 3 days. I remember my first week was a half a week. I think we came in on Wednesday, worked Thursday, Friday. It was me and they hired one other tax intern, so we were together in the training with one of their tax seniors. She basically started by showing us their software, their programs, and giving us the names of team members and their roles in the company, um, giving us an idea of the hierarchy, like as a intern, I could reach out to another member of tax staff or a tax senior for help. Beyond that, that usually go to them first, and then they will go to a tax manager because of time management and it's more respectful of the tax manager's time, such like that. And then we also talked about taxes in general. I remember that was my first time looking at a tax return, and breaking it down and looking at the different schedules. She did a brief overview, but it definitely took time throughout my internship for me to get comfortable with it.
Hmm.
And then she showed us their work papers. So an overview of their work papers and how to fill them out. And that was basically what we needed to begin working on their clients and stuff.
Hmm. I'm curious, did you have the tax class, the tax 4001 at USF before this internship at OneSource?
It was during my internship, so
Ah,
that was
yeah.
nice.
But that's something for students to understand too is that sometimes they think they need all these classes ahead of time, but the training included the information that you needed to be successful. So, okay.
Definitely, yes.
Did you want to talk about training at Grant Thornton?
Oh, yes, yes. And training at Grant Doran was longer.
Okay.
So they had a 2-week period. Um, I believe it was longer because they had more modules on, like, one of my favorites was how to execute an executive presence, and that was like a LinkedIn learning that we got to go through. Um, so they had more like administrative things like that and tax law research that we got to go through. Um, On top of that, we also got to learn about their work papers and, the general programs that they use as well. They gave us an overview of the hierarchy, but because so many people worked at Grant Thornton, we didn't get to get like a map of the whole team, but we understood the people that we could reach out to if we needed help.
Yeah.
Very cool. So next question for you is, what would you say are the top two skills that you've learned throughout your internships?
Yes. Going back to the executive presence one, that really was my favorite module or skill to learn. Just because I feel like naturally, socially, I'm not the most apt. So it was definitely a great to go through a module that presents how to carry yourself in a way that makes sure that your peers at work and the people above you trust in you and your capabilities. I hadn't really thought about this skill or how I could improve in this skill. I thought you just had to go and experience it. So it was really nice to have a module dedicated towards helping me improve that. I would say the next best skill, I hope this counts as networking skills, because I really enjoyed all the conversations I had with all the tax professionals, and I feel like that was definitely something couldn't have gotten somewhere else and helped me discover what I wanted out of my career.
Yeah, absolutely. And networking is for sure a skill, right? It's something that's learned and that gets better through time with practice, right? So, because I think most of us, although I think there's a few outliers, but most of us, that's something that we are actively working towards of how to be better at networking. So, absolutely.
I was gonna say I still struggle sometimes. I mean, we have to network constantly all the time. So that's fantastic that was a piece in a sense that you picked up and felt growth. I was gonna back up a minute to say or to ask what like for a student so that they know like an expectation. So what did a day look like when you after you finished your training? And I can see why maybe GT was a little more intense because too you were doing a full-time internship versus part-time, right? And different sizes of the firms can obviously impact, but it's good to see that those uh variances. What just so a student kind of gets an idea because again it's this unknown, what would your days look like if you want to describe kind of like your part-time or and then maybe even the full-time once you or just if we want to start with Grant Thornton this time and talk about your full-time, what it looked like.
Yes, with the full time, I would say that the first 2 weeks they really had a lot of meetings and such on top of the training. So once the training was done, I would say we were expected to reach. So in our schedule, they would have lines of businesses and projects in our schedule, and we were expected to reach out to the people who were on that project to discover what they needed us to do, if the hours that were on our schedule were actually going to come to fruition that week, or if they didn't need us, so that we could take it out of our schedule. So we would begin our week by, reaching out to the seniors on the project and saying, "Hey, I see I have maybe 4 hours towards this project. Can you please let me know um, if you need me on anything part of the project, and please let me know how long it may take." I know they asked us to ask our seniors how long they thought it would take us to complete a project so that we could understand their time frame, so that something that maybe should be taking us 2 hours, if it's taking us 3 or 4, we can stop and say, okay, maybe I need to reach out for help, so that it doesn't run into a 2 hour job is now an 8 hour job. Um, so I would always make sure to ask that as well. And then once they respond and you have an understanding of what you're supposed to do, you of course attempt it. If it takes you within the amount of time, that's awesome. If it doesn't, then that's when you reach back out and you ask for help along the way.
Mm,
And then once I'm done, I would submit my work and just let them know it's ready for review and kind of work towards the next project.
How was that first time you had to reach out? Were you anxious, nervous?
Yes, it was definitely nerve-wracking. I probably read the email about 10 times and was like, overthought it, but everyone was very friendly and very nice. And I got very comfortable quickly, even though it was a more remote kind of environment.
Fantastic.
So that actually just made me think. So were both internships remote? One was in person, one was remote.
So one was hybrid,
Okay.
um, and then one was basically in person
Okay.
mainly. I know that was like when the pandemic happened, and so as needed, we were able to work remote. Definitely, they were flexible on that. But mainly, they wanted everyone to be in the office because they liked the culture and the environment that that created.
So, Brittany, one of the questions we have for you is how do you feel that your internships advance your career in accounting?
Number one is the hands-on experience that I got in the industry that I was interested in is tax. I definitely learned a lot. Um, Even from my first internship to my second internship. When I went in with Grant Thornton, I was like, thank goodness I was able to rely on what I learned of one source and start building upon that. And I was actually really happy to substantially build upon that as well and kind of continue my learning. Um, so that was great. And also creating a network of tax professionals who I now feel like I have a relationship with, who I can reach out to for advice if I need to, or just to let them know where I'm at in my career. Because, I did get the genuine sense that they were invested in me and wanted to see me succeed. Um, and I guess the best benefit is that the opportunity to maybe work with that company that I internship in the future beyond graduation, because the internships they are also looking to see if they would like to hire you potentially as an associate, and so that's like the best, pretty much the best benefit, definitely.
Right? That is a perk.
Yeah.
And well said. Well said. I'm curious out of your internships, and you can pick which one. What would you say was your most enjoyable? What was the most enjoyable aspect, and then most challenging?
Um, I feel like it's almost one and the same for me because I like to be challenged, and I felt like the tax industry was very challenging and it was hard to learn at first. Um, And at first, I wasn't sure if I was catching on, because like I hadn't had a tax class yet, and so this was my first time working in the tax industry with one source. But after a few months, they told me that they were impressed with my learning, and that was great to hear. For my first time in the industry, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning, and I felt like I could do it and I could succeed in that career. So it was definitely challenging to learn a new field for the first time and, be like, am I to be in the accounting field for the first time, but it was very rewarding at the same time.
So, Brittany, we always like to ask our guests if they have any resources that they'd like to share for our audience. So, is there anything resource wise, book, article, or any other resource that you found along the way that's been really helpful to you?
Yes, I wanted to share that the campus rep programs for the popular review systems is very advantageous. Specifically, the Glein Campus Rep program. I remember researching the Glein review system and being very attracted to it. I really wanted to have it. Um, And I'm so happy that I was able to participate in their campus rep program and actually get, $1,000 system and earn it through my time and work advertising and marketing for them. So I would definitely ask other students to give that a shot. I know that they're actually always looking for St. Petersburg USF students. So please reach out to the campus rep. And also there could be more than one rep per campus. So even if there's one existing, she's still open to having more than one rep, so multiple students can take advantage of this during a semester at a time, at USF St. Pete and Tampa, and also Sarasota. So I would definitely recommend that.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. This is your chance. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? Or we're going to say thank you for joining us remote.
Um, not, Nothing else that I would like to add. Thank you for having me. And I definitely enjoyed both internships, and they were a great experience.
It was great working with you as a student. I mean, you're finishing it up, so one of my, I feel, star students in a sense. But we work together, and that's what we hope with through this podcast, but also connecting with career services professionals on campus for the Muma College of Business and the Career Center on campus. Period. So, all right. Well, thanks again for joining us, and I'll let you wrap.
And shout out to our folks at Innovative Ed for hosting this episode. And keep tuning in to Getting Down to Business for more topics on leadership and internship opportunities. We'll see you soon.